You know what this is, don't you? This is voodoo.
Nonsensical research and experimentation.
Witchcraft.
You don't believe this, do you?
The cult is full of superstition and mysticism. We're scientists.
All this talk of scientific explanation. It's simple, that's what it is.
It's your imagination, I think.
My imagination. It's not, I tell you. Here, I know what it is. It's here.
Probably cursed. Hello, cursed listeners. For today's curse inspection, we look into the Stull Cemetery and its portal to hell. But first, we'll look into the Conjuring house's current drama, how Dorito dust can make your mice transparent, and a mysterious body in a casket peering in a Detroit park. This is your co-host, Chris.
And this is Cheryl.
As we do at the start of every episode, we will fire up the cursometer here for calibration. This is where we feed it 3 news stories from the recent news, and we learn how cursed these stories are. Turning on cursometer now.
All right, I have the first story for the cursometer today. This is titled Ghost Hunters star Jason Hawes faces vile accusations by owner of haunted Conjuring home. It's by Patrick Riley on August 16th for the New York Post. Jason Hawes, the star of Ghost Hunters, claims the Conjuring house owner has been harassing him for weeks and accusing him of being part of a plot to assassinate her. Why a ghost hunter would want to assassinate her is beyond me, but
they want to make one more ghost.
That's right. Hawes filed a police report against the owner, Jacqueline Nunez, after receiving several threatening messages. Some of these text messages were just vile, says Hawes. She claims that I was trying to plot her assassination. I wanted to take this to the police department just to cover myself and protect my family, he added. Hawes, whose daughter worked at the creepy house for nearly 2 years, said Nunez had been messaging him last month after making claims that he trespassed on the property. Nunez posted surveillance video from the home on social media showing that what appeared to be a man leaving the property in a truck. Yeah, because nobody in the States has a truck.
Especially in a rural area like where the Conjuring house is.
Yeah. She wrote that the man looked like Jason Hawes, which, if any of you have seen him online, he's pretty nondescript. He's a large, bald man.
Could be me.
Could be you. You've got more facial hair than the last time I saw him, but yes, he may have facial hair at this point.
I could be him in
You
disguise.
could be him. Although Hawes says it has not been proven to be him, as we just discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Then he started receiving threatening messages from her. So some of the threatening messages are, you will someday be prosecuted for your slander and numerous murder attempts on my life. I am told that you know of the assassination attempt on me. And I will never be defeated or destroyed by any expletive. Fill in your favorite here, folks.
I think it was effing in one of the news reports I read.
Excellent. Any effing paranormal person, now or at any time in the future.
If any of all the ghost hunters you know, if one of them was planning to assassinate the lady who owns the Conjuring house, who's your money on?
Maybe Zach?
Yeah.
Zach Bagans?
Oh yeah, he'd probably want that house for himself.
Yeah, he probably has made an offer on the house a few times. Just last month, a former employee at the property filed a complaint with the state of Rhode Island seeking $9,000 in unpaid wages after Nunez claimed that the spirit of the home's 19th century owner, John Arnold, claimed that the employee had been stealing and got him fired.
That's a dirty move by a ghost.
Unfair, just leave the living alone.
Yeah, I mean, open and close the cabinets all you like, but don't get him fired.
I also want to know how the ghost came to her. Like, was it in a dream? Was it a Ouija board? Was it a phone call? Bloody writing on the wall?
You just sit down at the foot of her bed and like, hey, wake up.
Yeah. It does not matter whether you believe in the paranormal or not, Nunez defended herself, saying, I and every person is entitled to their own experiences that bring them understanding and meaning into their lives, including being informed or warned about wicked actors and actions. I don't know about her, but even just random office gossip, when it comes to me from somebody who has nothing to do with the situation, I usually ignore it.
Yeah. Let alone 19th century ghosts.
Yeah. But, alright. Dansereau, like Hobbs, claims that Nunez had been harassing him online and via text message. So Dansereau is the employee.
Yep. Oh, sorry, I cut important information out.
It's all good. I hope you get ruined and arrested. I hope you get ruined, arrested, and prosecuted for the rest of your life.
I like arresticuted.
Arresticuted. I mean, that's fair.
It sounds like cruel and unusual.
In a separate incident last year, former employee Cody DeSebians and Hawes's daughter Centauri Hawes claimed that they've lost thousands of dollars in personal items during a barn fire on the property in December. The couple said that Nunez initially told them they would be reimbursed, but then they never were.
Lame.
Mm-hmm.
She sounds like a real piece of work, the lady who owns this property.
I cannot imagine if places had the same hiring and firing practices. Well, we heard from somebody who's been dead for over 100 years. You're fired.
Do you think maybe the property owner is being possessed by the evil demon that lives at the Conjuring house? Or the witch? The ghost of the witch? It was Bathsheba something or other.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a demon, but maybe no, you're right. It's a witch.
Maybe she is under the influence and all she can do now is threaten ghost hunters via text messages.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope that trend continues. I want to follow this drama.
Cheryl has supplied the first story into the Cursometer. I will feed it in a second. Titled, "The Dye in Doritos Can Make Mice Transparent." This is written by Lauren Leffer on September 5th for popsci.com. A food dye that helps give certain sodas an orange hue renders mouse skin almost completely see-through in a reversible, potentially non-toxic research method that could transform medical and scientific imaging. Because of a counterintuitive fundamental physics principle, tartrazine, also known as yellow number 5, can temporarily turn biological tissue transparent to the naked eye, as described in a study published September 5th in the journal Science.
Now, they're going to make like tetrazine cream that you can like coat your body with, so when you break a bone, maybe they don't have to do x-rays anymore?
I think so.
Oh, epic.
They do mention that further down the article about like what their hopes are.
Nice.
So far, scientists have used the method to see the organs in a mouse's intact abdomen, glimpse the pulsing vessels surrounding a rodent skull, and to a clear view of muscle tissue through a microscope. The method is simple. Massaging tartrazine solution into hairless mouse skin over the course of a few minutes or using microneedling achieves complete optical transparency in the red region of the visible spectrum per the study. I'd like to be massaged and not microneedled.
Microneedling's not that bad.
I guess it's like a tattoo almost.
Very less painful.
Maybe it's not so bad.
No.
Massage still sounds better.
Mm-hmm.
Wash the dye away, and the skin returns to its natural opaque state. Biological tissues like skin are usually not see-through, if you're lucky, because light gets scattered as it passes through them, says Guosong Hung, co-senior study author and a bioengineer at Stanford University. But tartrazine dye, through its powerful absorption of blue wavelengths of light, changes the refractive index of water to be much closer to that of fat, Hong says. As a result, a photon can pass through the skin almost as if the tissue were homogeneous. It takes a shorter path, avoiding all of the bouncing and angle changes that increase the likelihood of light absorption, ultimately illuminating the inside of a mouse. Finally, mice are no longer in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
However, the method isn't complete. It can't make an entire living mouse invisible, although I wonder if they have and they just thought they maybe lost one of the mice and it's roaming around the lab completely invisible, smelling of Cheetos.
I highly doubt it, but yes, that is a fun thought.
So it can't make an entire living mouse invisible or enable us to see the inner workings of a human abdomen. Yellow.
That was my first thought.
Yeah,
Rats.
mice.
Mm-hmm.
See the middle of a person. Or maybe you eat the mice and then you become invisible. Like how poisons travel up the food chain, tartrazine number 5.
Yeah, but see, like, we've eaten enough Doritos that if that was the case, we'd be able to see the Doritos inside us.
Maybe we haven't.
Mm.
Maybe we need to pig out on 7 or 8 bags of Cheetos at a time.
Maybe we just need to drink tetrazine.
Yellow 5 can only penetrate so far into tissue, so it won't be as useful for imaging through thicker flesh like that of a human without a targeted delivery strategy. Plus, though the dye reduces photon scattering, it doesn't entirely eliminate it. The thicker the tissue you use it on, the darker and less clear the resulting image will be. I guess because it's dark inside people. Finally, though initial toxicity assessments bode well, it's not known tartrazine will prove totally harmless in the long term, especially with the amount needed for the effect to work. If yellow number 5 dye does prove safe, it might eventually be used for early skin cancer detection, making hard-to-spot veins easier to find, speeding up laser tattoo removal, or improving photothermal cancer treatments.
So, homework for everyone who listens to our podcast, rub Doritos on yourself this weekend. See how many Doritos it takes before you can see through your hand.
Mm-hmm. If you're going for cancer screening, just screening, not screaming. The screaming comes after.
Uh-huh.
But if you're going for cancer screening, just in advance, rub Doritos dust all over your body before you go to the doctor.
Yeah, this is a foolproof plan, people.
And if they ask you why, tell them you did it to make their jobs easier.
Yep. Well, that's story number 2.
Cheryl will submit the 3rd and final story to complete calibration.
Excellent. This one is titled, An Open Casket in a Suburban Detroit Park Prompts Calls to Police. It's from the Associated Press on September 6th. A suburban Detroit park had an unusual addition this week. An open casket containing the body of a 97-year-old woman, Madonna Stiller. Police received calls from curious residents, with some wondering if it was not an early Halloween prank. But it was not a prank. It was actually a real body. We just wanted to honor my mother, Stiller's son, Ken, told the Malcolm Daily. We didn't mean to cause any problems and didn't mean for it to be in the newspaper. The funeral director temporarily situated the casket in the park so that the deceased family members could say their final goodbyes prior to her burial at Mount Olivet Cemetery, police said on Thursday. Madonna Stiller's family said that they simply wanted to honor her before her burial that day in Detroit. A viewing at the local funeral home apparently wasn't possible after the body was transported to Michigan. She died in Wellsville, New York on August 29th. Officials said plans for the viewing at Butcher Park, oh dear, weren't disclosed ahead of time, and said the park can't automatically be a place for an open casket.
Imagine the discussion with that family. It's like, we don't have space for the viewing, but we want everyone to see. It's like, well, I mean, the park's over there. We could just wheel Mom out there, and then we can all go see.
Why would you pick one called Butcher Park?
That's true.
Shouldn't you pick, like, I don't know, maybe they've got one that's like Pleasant View Park or something else.
No, Butcher.
Butcher, yeah. Feels a little bit morbid. No wonder people thought it was a Halloween prank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder, like, if it sat there unattended for a while, like, they went back inside to gather up chairs or something, and people are just jogging through the park looking at this casket, maybe jogging a little bit closer to peek in.
They're like, what is happening? I also wonder, like, if they're just leaving the body out there, was it ever left unattended to the point that, like, they didn't realize it was a viewing? Like, was the family done and they're like, you know what, we've said our goodbyes, and they just walked away and left the open casket there? Nobody watching it?
Perhaps.
Because, like, that would be disturbing to stumble across, I gotta say.
And what if, like, birds and squirrels get in there?
Well, then they're going to an early grave.
It's true. Yeah, as long as they scatter before the lid gets closed. What if the birds try eating the body?
I mean, I can't say for sure, but if the body was embalmed, they're not going to want to eat it anyway.
Oh, tastes terrible.
I mean, you're replacing all the bodily fluids with embalming fluid, so yes.
All right, so we've submitted the 3 stories in the cursometer here for calibration. We will get it to spit out the results now to determine how cursed each of these stories were.
Please stand by.
All right, and for our first news story about the woman who runs the Conjuring house.
Probably cursed.
Yep, things aren't going great, and they're not going great in ways that you would not expect.
And either this woman is actually getting information from ghosts, or she's delusional in some way, shape, or form. Either way, it just does not sound good.
Like, you try to look for maybe there's more context, but I don't know what that would be outside of this.
She's just crazy. The demon in the house could be affecting her, I suppose, but even still, that's just as troubling.
And for our second news story about the tetrazine number 5 turning mice invisible, the cursometer says probably blessed.
Yeah, I mean, it's got medical purposes. It seems benign so far. They haven't done anything too crazy.
And if you create a few permanently invisible mice, I mean, that's okay to have.
They're already using AI to detect, like, breast cancer well before it's even detectable by, like, doctors. So this sort of thing is kind of neat. If you can detect skin cancer in its early stages and it's easy to treat, that can save a lot of lives.
Yeah, especially if you just got a massage right into a person and then you could see it right away.
I'm game.
I bet we could do it at home.
Hence the Doritos, people. Report back. Let us know if you rub Doritos on your hand enough to see through it.
Yep. Or if your classmate in grade 2 stabbed a pencil into your arm and a piece of lead broke off, you can see if it's still in there by smudging tartrazine number 5.
That's right.
And for the final news story about the casket left in a Detroit park,
the results are probably benign.
It's just a body inside of a box in a field. I mean, if you're jogging, most joggers discover a body just lying there. This one's all packaged up, presented nicely.
Besides, the world has been around long enough that chances are somebody or something died on your property at some point in time. Dead bodies are just dead bodies. I know this sounds weird coming from a paranormal podcast, but it's just a body.
We're all dead bodies in waiting.
Yep.
Wherever you die. And it probably won't be in a graveyard. Probably be on a couch or in bed.
Did you just come with a new merch idea? We're all just dead bodies in waiting, or dead bodies in waiting t-shirts?
I think so.
All right.
Little pins.
I like it.
All right, we've completed calibrating the cursometer. Before we get on to our main topic, we'll head on over to the Probably Cursed Museum and Gift Shop to learn about today's artifact.
So today's artifact is artifact number 12. And get ready, clown lovers. This one is for you. It's a vintage clown Jack-in-the-Box. Although there's no lid on the box for the clown to pop out. That might be a good thing depending on how you feel about clown jump scares. But do not fret that it does not provide jump scares, as it plays music and will occasionally play a note on its own for no reason.
And unbeknownst to us when we bought it, it also wiggles around in place. I thought it just played music when we found it.
So did I. It's kind of slowly dances in like a circular motion. I don't know how else to describe it, but it just kind of rotates its upper body. I played the music box for the bird, and much bleeping was had. The hands and the face of the clown are porcelain, and there's like a structure inside the clown to like give it maneuverability so you can move the hands. Although right now it kind of looks like it's in a Dragon Ball Z pose, but it's fine. And the hands, because of the wiring inside, are kind of like in a weird, unnatural position right now. But you can fix that if you would like to.
Yeah, we give these to you found as is. We don't make any alterations. Sometimes we'll glue a broken piece back on, but otherwise, if it's still attached, you get it.
Yep, it's all yours. The clown has like a blank and unsettling stare on its face. Just what every clown lover needs. It's dressed in red and white, and the box is red and white as well. I looked it up online. Google image search shows similar clowns are from like the 1980s. And we found this guy at a thrift shop. And I gotta say, the minute that we saw it, we were like, we have to have this. And maybe you need to have it too. Do you like creepy clowns? Maybe you have a family member who hates clowns and you want to give them the surprise at Halloween. Of note, it's also got marker on the back of its head and on the back of its body. So it was well loved?
I guess so.
Mark?
Maybe they are demon sigils. How mad would a demon be if you put it inside a clown?
Just picking it up now, pardon the music. It's got a C on its back.
Ooh, C for Chris.
It was made for you.
Well, I think it's going to keep playing.
Yep.
It'll play in the background here. One of the great things about it is, if you slightly touch it, or even just on its own, it will randomly play music.
Yeah, it's quite unsettling. It's also staring at me. It's
still in that DBZ pose.
Yeah, it stopped in like the middle of the song and now it's just staring at me. So there you go. The clown can be found on our Probably Cursed Etsy shop. Items that we...
The C is for cursed.
Yeah, it is. Items that come from our shop will come with a certificate that is signed by both Chris and I so you can display it with the artifact. The purchases you make from our shop help support the podcast and put us one step closer to reaching our goal of having a haunted museum. You can find our shop at probablycursed.etsy.com.
Mm-hmm.
And as for our haunted updates, speaking of Halloween surprises, Chris and I had another happy customer purchase an item from our Probably Cursed shop. Our marionettes from episode 2 recently sold to the good people of Dedmonton House. This year, they're doing a scare maze called the Puppet Factory, and the marionettes will be part of that scare house. So if you're in Edmonton this Halloween season, check out Dedmonton House. Maybe you'll even encounter some real ghosts while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
Try to guess which ones are the real ghosts and which ones are the scare actors.
It's going to be lots of fun. This is not sponsored, by the way. We just love Dedmonton House. Although, if they would like to sponsor us, we would gladly do a collab.
Do it.
But we bought our passes early this year, so we do recommend. They're definitely worth checking out.
And now on to the main topic. So, it's October. Spooky season is upon us. A time when the barrier between life and the afterlife grows thinnest. Some places, however, the veil is already paper thin. Some places, like the cemetery grounds in Stull, Kansas, are said to contain a portal to the afterlife, or at the very least, to hell.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Are we gonna plan a trip there in October at some point?
You know, I think we should.
Okay.
I'll bring it up later, but even Nirvana has been to
nice
there.
Well, sounds like a good place to check out.
Mm-hmm. The Stull Cemetery is said to contain one of the 7 gates to hell, and is said to be one of the most evil spots in America. Pope John Paul II himself had asked for a flight to be redirected that he was on around the area on a visit to America. And the most evil fact of all, the cemetery's zip code is inside 666.
Nice.
The oldest written records about the evil goings-on in the Stull Cemetery are from an article in the November 1974 issue of a school newspaper, the University Daily Kansan. But the article states that rumors about the cursed graveyard go back much further, with stories of invisible cold hands grabbing people who are on the grounds at night, witches gathering their covens there, and that the devil will materialize there twice a year on Halloween night and the spring equinox.
So back to the Pope and not wanting to fly over there. Is it because of all that activity that his Pope senses were tingling and he's like, I know where we are, you can't fly through there?
I bet he was looking out the window and scowling and he's like, turn right.
Feels very random because I don't know, maybe the Pope has a special phone, but my GPS does not work. I don't know where Stull, Kansas is off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe that's what you get when you become Pope. You get extra knowledge about your whereabouts. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what all the black smoke is about. You're transmutating.
Maybe.
One of the most famous aspects of the cemetery grounds is a purported stairway to hell that is well hidden, with the entrance fastened with a seal. And even though it's not explicitly said, I'm guessing this is how the devil makes his way to Stull. Just takes the stairs.
Yeah.
The stairs are well hidden on the grounds, but if you were to find them and try to descend them, it's said time moves at a supernatural rate. If you were to decide to turn back before reaching hell, your return journey would take about 2 weeks, although only minutes would pass on the surface.
But if you played Stairway to Heaven while trying to come back up the stairs from hell, would it reverse the polarity?
Oh, maybe. Maybe it'll just turn into an elevator.
Maybe. Or an escalator? We'll see.
Now, you might be wondering why the devil has any interest in Stull, Kansas, of all places. Can you think of any, Cheryl?
I mean, other than all the terrible things that happened with slavery in the States?
That's true.
Okay. It's the first thing that comes to mind for me, but...
That's probably brought a lot of people further from God.
I don't know much
And
about
heaven.
Kansas, but I do know that a lot of the states had some issues with that.
I know they get tornadoes, and I know if you go in those tornadoes, you get to go to Oz.
Oh, yeah. They are in Tornado Alley, just like us here in Edmonton.
So there are 2 explanations that I can find. The first has to do with a legend that the devil impregnated a witch in the 1950s. The baby had only lived 2 days before dying and was buried in that cemetery. The devil arrives twice a year to pay respects to his buried son and the witch he bore the child with.
Okay. I see nothing wrong with this.
The second has to do with the old abandoned church on the cemetery grounds, the Emmanuel Hill Church. It was originally abandoned once the congregation grew too large and moved to a larger church. It's said after its abandonment, it had become a meeting place for Satanists who attempted and were successful in creating the portal to hell. The church itself also has its own superstitions attached to it. It's said the walls bleed during the devil's visit. A large crucifix on the wall will turn upside down if you enter the building at midnight. And also, at some point, the roof was torn off in a storm, and it's said that when the rain falls now, rain does not fall inside the church. I don't know where it goes, if it just runs off an invisible roof.
Yeah. Or is it so hot in the church that it just immediately evaporates?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it is hell. It gets hot. It's also claimed that if one were to draw an inverted cross on a bottle and throw it against the church wall, it would not break.
So inverted as in like
the upside down cross.
Yeah, but if it's on a bottle, which part is the top? I guess the top of the bottle and the bottom of the bottle would then be...
Maybe you draw a line on the bottom part.
Okay.
Like how they do on a pool ball for the 6s and the 9 balls.
Okay. Are you supposed to throw it inverted or...
I think you just toss it.
Okay. Just checking.
The legend also goes that if it does break, the person who threw the bottle will die.
I mean, if you want to die anyway, it might be a good way to try it out.
So there's 2 celebrity stories about visiting Stull. The first I mentioned before was Kurt Cobain, and he recounts in a 1992 interview that the band made a pilgrimage out there, and Kurt Cobain swears it was a strange place. Swore it was a strange place, because he's dead now.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like the more he walked, the farther away the cemetery appeared when they were approaching it. And he felt a weird evil presence that had him and the band running back to their van afterwards. But it gets even better.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Kurt Cobain. More recently, Ariana Grande had tried to make a visit as well.
Ah.
According to an interview she gave to Complex in 2013, when she was approaching it, she said she felt a sick, overwhelming sense of negativity in her car. She smelled sulfur, and a fly appeared inside the car, which she attributes to the signs of a demon being present.
There's clearly demons in our house because we have flies in here.
She pulled over, rolled down the window to apologize for disrupting the demon's peace. She took a picture of the cemetery that showed 3 distinct demonic faces in it. She states that she was then haunted by shadowy figures for the next couple of weeks until she deleted the photo.
That's disturbing. Also disturbing. Our dog was having nightmares and crying while Chris was reading.
He needs to go to Stull. So those are the supernatural elements of the Stull Cemetery. And admittedly, it's all hearsay and rumors. But there's one other thing that haunts the cemetery on Halloween and the equinox. And can you guess what it is?
Santa Claus.
Close.
Ooh.
Man.
Nice.
Unless you count Santa Claus as a jolly old elf, then. Man-like.
I mean, I think Santa is a supernatural being considering how long he's been alive.
It's true. Might be an elf.
We might have to do a Christmas episode about Santa Claus.
Might be from Isengard.
Mm-hmm.
So remember earlier that one of the earliest written records of the cursedness of Stull is from a school newspaper in the 70s?
Yep.
Well, after it was published, it was originally meant as a Halloween piece, but it got delayed because the writer coming up with the story wasn't able to get as much content for the story as they needed. So it was delayed by a few weeks when it was put into the November issue. So the issue got released November. The next spring equinox, over 150 people arrived at the Stull Cemetery to wait for the devil to arrive.
Whoa.
Mostly University of Kansas students, with plenty of booze brought with them.
That's fair.
And the crowds only grew bigger with every equinox and Halloween, and at one point, the crowds reached sizes of almost 500 people.
Wow. So, like, you're saying maybe don't go on Halloween because it'll be busy.
It's true.
Okay.
And also, you can't go anymore.
Oh.
For a couple reasons.
Okay.
So, with all those people coming, also came their garbage, their graffiti, their vandalism, smashed bottles against church walls and pushed over tombstones. And officials had to resort to fencing off the property and threatening steep fines and jail time for whoever enters.
People, if you're going to go visit a cemetery, whether or not you believe in ghosts, do not vandalize the cemetery.
I mean, that is how you get a ghost to follow you home.
Yes. But either way, just don't do it.
Some of those tombstones have living relatives.
Yeah. And they have to pay for the damage that you've done to the gravestones.
And eventually, someone in the town proactively bulldozed the church walls down, saying they become unstable and unsafe for anyone who would enter the building, let alone large devil-seeking crowds.
Honestly, for the best.
The citizens in Stull hate how the legends of the cemetery spread, saying it was all caused by that article from the 70s, leading to desecration of family members' tombstones and turning the town into a drunken madhouse twice a year.
I mean, that was going to happen regardless. Let's be honest. It is the States.
It's true.
You can get alcohol everywhere.
We were just there. And, like, we're from a part in Canada where you have the liquor store, which is all what they sell, and no other stores sell liquor. You have to go to the liquor store.
To walk into, like, a grocery store and have a huge liquor section in the back is jarring.
Yeah. So that is most of the story of the Stull Cemetery. There's plenty more little anecdotes, some involving a family of werewolves that is actually affecting a family that's around there today. Involving victimizing a family that's around today.
Oh, now, does this family happen to have the... Now I gotta think of the word. I have to look it up.
Oh, the furry disease?
Yeah, the covered in hair disease.
No.
Okay.
From what I can tell is that a legend started up because, like, these people are showing up every year. They're reading the names on the tombstones,
right,
and they're coming up with,
stories,
like, rumors.
Yeah, okay.
And so one of the family names they decided was, like, a werewolf, part of a werewolf family. And there's the living extension of that family still there. And they get harassed every so often by people calling them werewolves.
It's probably the Wolf family with 2 Fs.
It's true. And you know what? Remember when I mentioned the witch story? One of the names in the Stull Cemetery is Wittich.
That poor woman.
Which is what a lot of people think that legend came from.
Okay.
But you're right, that poor woman.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know for sure it's a woman, but...
I think it was.
Okay.
On the other hand, if your last name is Wittich and you live in a town called Stull, things might get morbid in your future.
That's fair.
More macabre and
Yeah.
scary. Other than the family of werewolves and the legends I told, I was mostly captivated by the portal to hell aspect of the story.
Fair.
And I did try to look up other gateways to hell and even found a list on Wikipedia. There is a page on Wikipedia that lists gateways to hell.
How many does it have listed on there?
It had quite a lot.
Okay, I was going to say, because this said 7, so...
I think somewhere in around 20.
Okay.
So, like, every culture has, like, legends about entrances to the underworld. Lerna Lake in Greece, Mount Etna in Sicily, Fengdu in China, Mount Osore in Japan, the Messiah volcano in Nicaragua, and many, many others. You can visit the Wikipedia page to get the entire list. There are no shortages to entrances to hell.
Were there any in Canada?
Not that I could find.
Well, we're safe here then.
I think we got to travel all the way to Stull. I think that is our closest entrance to hell.
All it says to me is that, like everywhere else in the world, when movies and whatever exist, Canada gets forgotten. The devil Satan just forgot where Canada was, and he's like, they're not really a place.
Maybe it's just too cold here.
Yeah.
To maintain an open door to hell.
Or maybe he's tired of when hell freezes over jokes, and he's just like, I'm not going to touch that.
It's true. God can have Canada. I don't care.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the Russians did dig that hole to hell. There's that internet MP3 legend that's been going around since the 90s.
Yep.
Also, if you're interested, there's one portal to purgatory, St. Patrick's Purgatory in Northern Ireland. It said Jesus appeared there in the 5th century to show St. Patrick where the portal was, and so he could use it to scare people into religion.
All right, I'll take it. I don't really see that as being the way the church does things, but I guess it kind of is. God did flood the whole world and send down the plagues of Egypt, so...
Turn some guy's wife into a pillar of salt.
Yeah.
Just seems mean-spirited at times.
It does.
And as for any entrances to heaven, it seems that the only way there is by reading the Bible. No shortcuts.
Or listening to Stairway to Heaven backwards.
It's true. If anything, that maybe just keeps you in the stairwell. So, is the cemetery of Stull cursed? What does the cursometer say? We'll enter in our story now.
Please stand by.
And the results say definitely cursed.
I mean, the Pope won't fly there. That's usually a good sign of something being cursed.
It's true. And it's just full of drunken people twice a year knocking over tombstones. I mean, let alone the fact that the devil shows up there twice a year for whatever reason.
No one's got proof of that, though. That's the one thing for me. Like, in all those years of drunken parties on the equinox and on Halloween, nobody reported seeing him.
I mean, maybe people got too drunk to be believed. And the devil is just jumping around them. He's like, ha, no one will ever believe you. You're all wasted.
It's true.
They'll think you're hallucinating.
Maybe he granted them a wish each if they didn't say that they had seen him.
Oh, we need to follow up. Have 500 people suddenly gotten everything they ever wanted, but in an ironic, terrible way?
Yes.
Because I think that's how the devil works.
I mean, you and I are not experts. I would say we should consult with the Church of Satan before we start making some accusations, but seems like a likely thing for the devil to do.
If the Twilight Zone has taught me anything, the devil always puts a little twist on it.
That's true.
That brings us to the end of today's Stull Cemetery episode for the month of October. Cheryl and I both wish you a very happy Halloween and spooky season this month.
If you have any suggestions for episodes, please email us at probablycursedpodcast@gmail.com.
Also emails us. Send us several at once. We could use the email.
Yes. Please like and review our podcast on whatever platform you listen to our podcast. I know Apple Podcast allows for reviewing, but we'll take any sort of review. You can even email us a review.
Spotify. We're on YouTube. I don't know if you can do reviews on Amazon. I don't even know if people listen on Amazon, but if you find out you can leave a review, do so, please.
Yeah, we would love to hear feedback about what we need, what you would like to hear more of, what you would like to hear less of.
Is this malarkey? Do you like it? Is this your favorite kind of malarkey?
Do you need more crying and sad dogs in the background?
Nobody does.
No. Until next month, everyone, stay cursed.
Stay cursed. I like that.